Welcome to ET Catalyse, the best show on super brains of marketing. Today, in the second episode of season 2.0, we discuss innovation, creativity, and has it gone dead in the realm of digital marketing, which is so performance driven. With us on the show, we have today Damyant from Oppo and Vineet representing AB Inbev India. Welcome to ET Catalyse. If I can start with you, Damyant, you're in a category which is so fast moving.
Yes.
Digital phones last you at best a year, if it's a good sturdy phone like Oppo, if I may say, because trends change. It's a fast moving consumer product category where not just the specs and the fashion, there's a lot more that drives a marketer to sell that product or pitch the product to the consumer. But in all of this, when you use digital medium to market your product, how creative or how at best creative can you be?
From a marketing standpoint, this increasingly digital world that we're living in, of course, it's been kind of coming our way for the last 10, 12 years, but it's kind of become really exaggerated in the last 18 odd months, right? I think there's good and bad. And as marketing has become increasingly more digital, it's also become more measurable. It allows us as organizations to be able to better quantify the impact of the work that we're doing. Something that was really difficult to do in the analog world. When you did a print ad or you did a television spot, it was really difficult to kind of really tell the CEO of the company saying, yes, we invested in marketing, and I always call it an investment and not a spend. Yes, you invested in marketing, but can I kind of really tell you how it's impacted sales? How has it impacted how the company is doing? It was kind of elusive to do that. So I think the big upside of the digital world is it's really made it easy for us to quantify how marketing investments are impacting revenue. And basically, ROI has become like the mantra, really. So I think that's one side of the coin. The flip side, obviously, the way what you described as well, Deepak, is the mindset of organizations becomes so addicted to this ROI mindset that suddenly, and I don't think it happens everywhere, but suddenly people kind of look more for those metrics instead of really kind of looking at ideas and creativity as being, what people should aspire for or companies should aspire for. And so personally, I don't think creativity is dead. If you look around you, there's always something that kind of lights up the internet every second or day. And what lights up the internet is not something which is an ROI-driven campaign. It's essentially great ideas. So I think that essence hasn't really changed. Great ideas still travel. Great ideas do not require you to kind of necessarily, back it with tons of money. And there was something that I learned when I was very young, when I was in advertising. There was somebody who described why creativity is important. And it's still kind of something which is planted in my mind. That person described creativity as being the difference between having a blunt nail and a big hammer, where the big hammer is a massive ad spend, and the blunt nail is really an idea that's not necessarily path breaking. And then really a really sharp nail, which is a great creative idea. And then suddenly that big hammer is not required, right? You then need to kind of spend significantly less. And this is something that I was told back in 2001, tells you a little bit about how long I worked. But it's a 20-year-old story, but it's as relevant right now because the person was telling me this more in the context of print advertising and television, but it's as true today as it was back then, right? And so I think, yes, ROI, I think there is a lot that we need to embrace as marketers in the digital marketing sphere. But creativity most definitely is thriving. I think it's, if anything, digital makes it even more exciting for us to do new kinds of work. So I think it's actually an amazing world to kind of live in and be a part of from a marketing standpoint.
In the last decade, more so, because performance driven sort of has come in so fast, so quick in the last decade. Has this impacted the marketer's ability to be creative or not think sometimes these numbers or ROI aspect? Has it in any form, I mean, when you talk to your friends in the fraternity, has it impacted or your ability to be creative?
For me, the best strategy is not choosing one over the other. In today's world, you can't live if you are the best performance marketer or if you are just only talking about best creators, right? I think the best strategy is to see the synergies between the both. And that's what I think for me as a marketer to talk about art and science. I think the art over here is about great creativity, understanding deep consumer insights, creating amazing briefs, creating amazing campaigns out of it, reaching to the consumers in the right mindset. But I think the science is behind the numbers, right? But I also believe very strongly in this fact that you can be optimized to the last deal, right? You can have great performance channels, very solid performance marketing. But if the basics of the brand learning, whether knowing your consumers, knowing the real insights of why they're buying your product, can never be a substitute, right? And I believe the organization will continue to falter if you do not know the why behind what you are selling, right? So I think it's a balance. But yes, I can understand the young marketers feeling that creativity can take a backseat. You just have to focus on being a great performance marketer. But I believe that's a recipe for failure. And vice versa as well. You cannot just focus on great creatives and not know about distribution strategies and what your numbers. So I think it's a balance we are talking about.
Interesting point you make. It's a balance, and somewhere it's science and art both have to work together to be really effective in that sense. So Damyant, on that point, the way we are sort of moving ahead, and Vineet talks about science and art, will the marketer's profession also evolve to have two roles in an organization, a creative marketer and a performance marketer? Will your job split into two jobs?
There are some things that you will always be second best at, and so I think what we need really within the realm of performance marketing, I think what you really need as a marketer, as a CMO, is to have somebody who you can really trust as a solid second hand, or like your wingman or wingwoman, so to speak, who understands this world really well. I'd be lying if I said, I know everything there is to know about the digital world and how ad metrics, etc. work. Like, I think what's important for us to do as leaders is to surround ourselves with people who understand these worlds really well and whose judgments we can trust. So if I tell you, Deepak, I am, there are moments in the day when I'm super creative, and there are moments in the day when I'm like this crazy ass guy who's understanding just about everything there is to do. I'd be lying. I think what I, as a leader, I try and do is surround myself with people who are really specialists, like deep functional experts in stuff that they do, and whose opinion and whose input I respect and trust, and essentially create an environment where we can have open discussions, where we can challenge opinions and have like open debates. I think that's what, as a CMO, I would encourage people to do.
The audience behavior is undergoing a sea change, especially when it comes to digital video consumption. Some of the data that I keep reading is almost 500 hours of video being uploaded every minute. And this was way back in June 2020 when YouTube revealed that. So obviously this has affected attention span. How challenging thereby this has become for creating campaigns which remain, which become immemorial, in that sense that, I remember the Cadbury's ad, Kuch Khas Hai. It has stayed with you. In today's day and age, when attention span is so less with digital screens and the audience that consumes it, how do you bring about such campaign?
Is it time for changing time to change how we think about creativity? I think it is. And I think creativity in advertising is still lagging. Our consumers are moving way faster. We have to understand them even much more closer. And I think some of the things that at least we have practiced internally is actually a kind of a two-step model. First, your content needs to be entertaining. I think people are looking for entertainment. And advertisements today are not just competing with another advertising. You're competing with movies. You're competing with, TV serials for that matter. Because people are talking about their time. Why should I even waste 30 seconds of my life to even see something that you were showing? I could have used the 30 seconds to see maybe, the latest serial that is out there, or the latest movie that is out there, right? So I think we talk about how entertaining a content is. And there's a new thing called, of non-linear storytelling. No longer you have to just stick to the basics, and that's challenging, right? Because all through our careers, maybe Damyant would have seen a larger thing, at least in a decade of my experience. I have been told the first 5 seconds have to show this, then the product comes, then the product benefit comes. That has all been thrown out of the window. I've seen none of that working now. because people don't have time, right? People just say, tell me what you want very quickly and all will move out, right? So entertaining people is extremely important. And then I think you should just seed in your message of your product within that entertainment medium, right? So I think the dynamics have changed, Deepak. It is no longer you have to just create again a 130-seconder or 60-seconder and your job is done, right? You always need to think about that this is done, but what is the media where I'm talking? Is my content even better than a latest movie that is running out there? And that's why I don't believe long-term, long-format content or short-format content, either of them is a winner. I think I see Facebook, who's a big advocate of 5-second ads. They roll out 5-minute films on Facebook itself, right, about Facebook. So it's all about engaging content. It is never about the length and also the distribution medium. So for me, these two dynamics have changed a lot with this reduced attention span that we are seeing.
Damyant, can I get your views on this? Memorable ads on the digital platform, which is a performance-driven, ROI-driven platform.
Deepak,
will the platform allow it?
Yeah, Deepak, see, the way I view this is, in my view, I think it's less about a campaign. I think it's about a body of work, right? So the way I relate to this would basically be, at a core, a brand is a consistent promise, right? That's how brands are built. That's how people relate to brands. And so that consistency of, having a point of view that's simple, easy to remember, and kind of reinforced over a period of time is what I feel is going to be differentiating memorable brands from brands that people can't kind of, put two and two together about. So for me, I think it's about, a very simple narrative of telling a story to consumers about yourselves over a period of time consistently. So, the reality is today, like Vineet was saying, the things that consumers feel obsessed about, or things as youngsters would say, things that are breaking the internet. In the past, it was ads that used to do that, right? Ads used to be the most discussed things. Water cooler breaks are about discussing the new ad from XYZ. It's no longer the case. People discuss just about everything under the sky over water breaks. So I think that whole notion of brands today being able to be as important a part of lives as they were back in the day, I don't think that's happening. But from a brand standpoint, what I think you can do is really simplify what you want to stand for, and really stand true and committed to that narrative over a period of time. Don't let this metrics of ROI, et cetera, kind of take you away from that. Just kind of be consistent in what you want to kind of tell consumers and stick to that storyline. Because I think it's less about campaigns now. It's about really over a long arc of time, what are you really building? Like, what do you want consumers to kind of take away? So I think for me, that's really what I aspire to kind of do in brands and places that I work at. So
there's upper funnel prospecting and there's bottom funnel prospecting, right? We need any other new bottom funnel prospecting metric that you've come across which does the job but doesn't become that creepy, like retargeting?
One thing I'm excited about is the use of first party data. And I think with the cookies also on the way out, right? I think no longer it's a luxury to have, it's a necessity to have. And with more so, and Google commanding that the cookies need to be way out, I think how we reach our consumers in a sharper manner has to be every marketer's responsibility, right? And when you said numbers, I think more numbers are supposed to come, right? We are already talking about within ABI what quality of records we have, right? Whether it's what level of information we know about a consumer, right? Whether it's gold record, platinum record, silver records, and literally we are competing across the globe. That how many records we have already targeted in the first party, second party, and third party, of course. And this agency or the draft line that I was talking about, like data-led creativity. So what we are doing is actually finding the consumer, understanding what his or her habits are, and then serving the right content to them. If it's a football lover, we would want to push our football content rather than a music content. If it's a music lover, we'll do the other way. If someone is interested in merchandise, if someone is interested in fashion, we have content related to that. So I think our media targeting and our content targeting has become much more sharper. We don't, unlike maybe Damyant's category, we don't ask them directly go and purchase us, but at least to remember us, right? And a lot of these events per se that I was talking about, or a lot of these other avenues where our brand is literally the top of mind, it serves a very, very important purpose as a brand building.
Smartphone marketing mostly is centered around, haloing a product and the functional benefits. But if you were to choose an emotional bridge, what would be that one need gap that you would like to explore?
For me, I think, the one aspect of the smartphone that's not really been explored is the use of a smartphone as a device for education. I think that's one piece that I feel is underexplored. I think as a category and as an industry, we've not done enough to really leverage the power of technology from an education standpoint.
Very well said, because the last 1 year, education took a hit. All the classroom were sort of bridged to home, the rural belt suffered.
The way I think of it is, it's such a powerful device. It's literally changed how people think, act, whatever. And I don't think we, from an education and a pure education standpoint, we really truly explored what this device is capable of actually doing. It's still one way, right? When it's education as well. There's a lot more from a hardware and a software perspective that we can do to make this genuinely an empowering education device.
One unexplored marketing lever that alcobev marketers especially haven't explored yet.
I think category expansion or market development, and this is more in terms of India, of how you can increase consumption. Our category is still very small, very nascent in terms of per capita consumption. I think how we are as a category wanting to get newer consumers into a franchisee while solving a lot of functional and emotional needs is something that as all marketers in alcobev space need to think hard on. And secondly, on the trade, and herein I take a lot of learning from the CPG or the FMCG world, is on category captaincy. I think there's a lot of, less work has happened in this world, whereas if you see in the CPG category, that's the norm, right? So I think in the trade, the category captaincy, and in the consumer world, more in the category expansion or market development, work needs to be much more undertaken.
So this brings me to the last and final round, which is called the rapid fire round. Quick questions, but quicker answers is what I seek from you.
It will be even tougher, Deepak.
Short one-liners. Look, you're marketers, you hire the best of creative brains. I'm sure osmosis happens when you sit among them. So you'll have great answers for us as well. If I were to play Santa and give you unlimited budget, what would you do differently as a marketer?
What would I do differently? I'd probably put money into creation of a new product. I would invest it in product development, R&D.
Okay, forget marketing. You want to re-engineer and go first, make the best product.
I think great products sell themselves. So I would kind of put into R&D.
Okay. Vineet, same question to you. If you had unlimited budgets, what would you do differently as a marketer?
I would invest that, Deepak, more in understanding our consumers. As I said, they are moving way faster. So I want to understand the pulse even more so that I can create insights and create products and campaigns, just to cater to their needs.
So you're going to invest in research, understanding consumers. The most quirky ad or marketing concept you remember, you can name the brand, not name the brand, choice is yours. We'll get the hint though. But the most quirky ad marketing concept you remember.
Off the bat, Deepak, I really loved the Coca-Cola campaign way back, I think 15, 20 years back, the Thanda Matlab Coca-Cola. I think it was a very interesting take, and how just linked Coca-Cola to anything cold, right? Again, a point of category creation. It was quirky in the way it got presented. So when you said it, that was the first campaign that just came to my mind.
Right. So you're still the chilled man from beer to thumbs up.
Beverages.
We get it. Thank you. Damyant, the same question for you. Most quirky, interesting, novel, innovative marketing concept or an ad that you remember?
1984, right? That's kind of probably the pinnacle. One ad that kind of just set a brand at a different level for decades now. So for me, I think that's, I don't know, I won't call it quirky, but I would call it super powerful.
One final question. I played Santa, now I'm going to play a complete miser promoter. You get to know tomorrow that your boss has reduced your marketing budget by 90%. You still have only 10% now left in your kitty. What's one method that you'll use to market your brand?
I'll just use PR.
Great. Okay. Thanks a lot. Vineet, what is your weapon then?
I would have actually picked PR and influencers, but I won't repeat what Damyant said. I'll go more harder on digital marketing. I believe sharp, more Instagram, more Facebook. I would be very focused rather than spreading my money thin. That's where the audience is. That's where we believe we have seen a higher conversions. So that's the word I will want to invest.
In the hammer and nail, you're going for the nail and being targeted.
Yeah.
10% efficiency marketing. Great. Thanks a lot. So that brings an end to the show. I hope you guys enjoyed answering some of the quirky, fun questions as well as some serious questions.
Those were much tougher, Deepak, the quirky fun.
Deepak's idea of fun is clearly not ours.